Oh man, I'm starting off this video already pretty fucked up emotionally. This song and this hi, welcome to review, Anthony Fantano. Fuck, doing an intro here. This song and what's happening here has literally nothing to do with me, but it's really just like the power and the emotion of it that's got me so messed up completely and honestly. I'm talking about the new Kendrick Lamar track, The Heart, Part 5. Yes, Kenny has a new song out. You know, it's Kenny season when he drops another track in the Heart series. Man, instrumental is great on this thing. Love that. Very generous Marvin Gaye sample. Loving the strings, loving the energy, loving the groove. Loving everything instrumental about the track, honestly. I think the way he interpolates and kind of switches the chorus to, fit his own narrative here is great as well. A lot of people freaking out about the music video, understandably so, with all the deep fake, faces and visuals from OJ, Kanye, Jussie, Will, Kobe, Nipsey as well. There's been a lot of talk and kind of theorizing over why exactly that is. I'm not going to go too deeply into the music video itself. What I'll say is that the music video seems like a really effective enhancement of what's being said in the song, and in most cases, I think that's the best thing a music video can be. On this track, lyrically, Kendrick touches down on a lot of things, and specifically when it comes to hip-hop culture and black culture, he does kind of dig down into these ideas of dehumanization, depictions in certain ways in the media, and I think these faces come up for a myriad of reasons, but very specifically, I think the clearest reason they come up in the fashion and in the order that they do in connection with certain lines in his song here is to kind of depict how, oh, here's a person who kind of relates to this line in terms of how people may be familiar with a certain action, a certain emotion, a certain experience, as it is depicted in the media through a black face or a black celebrity, which for people who are outside of these cultural bubbles, that black celebrity becomes the window to that. Specifically, again, like definitely in the case of Will Smith, when, Kendrick makes that point about hurt people hurting people. But yeah, in that sense, I think the music video, works and kind of drives home an extra set of points really well that the song already drives home, but there's a new dynamic to the meaning of the track when you kind of observe the music video. But the track itself, I think, is the best song that Kendrick has come through with in terms of this Heart series so far. This thing really runs like an open letter to the fans, everybody who has messed with him so far, but also as he reflects on it, the hood, because culturally he feels in a way kind of rejected, or the message, and he's been saying this in his music, the message, the things that he's saying, the things that he's trying to do through his work, kind of falling on deaf ears. Now, this is a dynamic in Kendrick's music that I have talked about at length before. Kendrick has been known to have a bit of a savior complex in his music, in himself. He very much sees the platform that he has as an opportunity, or really an obligation, to say the things that he does, to highlight the things that he does, but he doesn't really feel any kind of love coming in his direction, despite all that he broadcasts out. And the line that he repeats on the chorus of the track also echoes that savior complex sentiment as well, and just makes it, again, feel like it's coming from a bit of an egotistical place, even if Kendrick ultimately wishes for there to be a positive impact with his music, because even if he is trying to do something good with his platform, with the substance of his music, he still does obviously feel like he's kind of owed something by the audience of people who listen to him, or by the people who may find themselves in communities that he's trying to reach. And if there's a pitfall I wish Kendrick could overcome past this point, it's this. Now, I think there is room and there is an argument to be made that, maybe Kendrick is kind of in a fantasy here, and that he thinks that he can kind of, really do something for people, especially when they're suffering from like systematic ills, just merely through, releasing music and saying things in his songs. I mean, people these days, especially the communities that he's rapping about in this song, are dealing with problems that are far greater for any single song or album or artist to be able to fix. And while I know Kendrick does a great job of kind of, straddling the border between, hey, there are systematic problems here, but then simultaneously there are also personal choices being made that are quite toxic and also contributing to a lot of these negative factors too. He's straddling this line in only a way that he can. With that being said, what moves me so much about this track is not really that, but so much it's really kind of Kendrick's personal struggle through this, because even if there are elements of it where I think narratively he could be balancing out things a bit more, I'm still deeply touched with the desperation with which he tries, and I do sense this intense feeling of love and this serious need to communicate things in his music and for it to translate in another way to where it actually touches people and makes them want to change their lives and do better and aspire for greater things. I think that's amazing. Even if it is a Sisyphusian task, there's something beautiful and there's something powerful about that. And I think Kendrick acknowledges that himself in the final verse of this thing. Because again, in this track that is very much like an open letter to the fans, he spends the first verse kind of painting his background, setting things up, telling you where he's coming from. In the second verse, he kind of explains his intentions, what he wants to do, what he wants to accomplish. And then in the third verse, the very dense third verse here, he essentially tells us that despite his efforts, he still ends up meeting an early end at the hands of a murderer who in that moment, he sort of sees like the pain in that guy's eyes as he's squeezing the trigger. He's, very much having like a kind of Jesus moment where, I forgive you, my child. I understand why you're being violent in this way. I forgive you. I understand. I know where this is all coming from. But yeah, after he portrays his own death in this third verse, he seems at peace because he did what he set out to do, even if it didn't work out completely and perfectly, even if the results weren't exactly what he wanted them to be. He was on his mission. In a sense, he completed his mission, he got his message out there, and he did what he was here to do. And in a way, there is like a real sense of finality and closure with that, because, especially on Damn, we have heard Kendrick in a place where the fact that his message had been falling on deaf ears or wasn't sort of connecting with the people who he wanted it to connect to, where that was a serious struggle for him that was like pushing him into a deep and dark depression where he was having a hard time sort of connecting with, what he does as an artist. So it is interesting and it is encouraging to hear him at a point creatively where he has, come to some level of acceptance of, I'm going to try, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to know in my heart who and what I'm doing this for. And regardless of the results, I can be at peace knowing what my efforts were, knowing what my intentions were, and knowing what I was going for. So in at least one important way, I think this song is kind of a revelation for Kendrick in terms of him realizing, truly in his core that there are going to be some things that he can't change, but he still needs to continue to have the courage to make that effort and try to change the things that he actually can have an impact on. And there are portions of this track that some people who've been listening to Kendrick for a while may feel like, yeah, maybe this isn't really anything new. I've heard him spitting about this stuff before, but the thing is, like, the shit that he's been rapping about for years at this point hasn't changed. It hasn't altered. It hasn't altered it. And that's kind of ultimately the point with this song. That's the point of this song. So at least from my perspective, and this is, random 30-something white guy who's been loving Kendrick's music since I first heard Section 80 opinion that you could take with a grain of salt. You know who I am, you know what I am. You can take me seriously or not based on that if that's your prerogative. But yeah, that's very much how I read this track. I just read it as a very direct message to his fans of his intentions and how he is currently kind of seeing and accepting his place in the world and where his efforts have brought him and what his efforts have done in terms of like impacting the communities and the ideas and the perspectives that he's been wanting to have an impact on through his work. I'll also say from a technical standpoint, The rapping and the writing on this track is excellent. The delivery is amazing. The range in his voice, the emotion, the expression, how just on fucking point he is with the flows over and over again. I love really just like amazing images that he packs into this track. I could spend another 30 minutes going over so many of these lines. Belt buckles and clout, overzealous if prone to violence, make the wrong turn, be it will, making a wrong turn in life, be it will, your choice to do that, or wheel alignment, the wheel alignment of your vehicle or your car being sort of off because you're kind of driven in this direction by some other kind of means that's kind of outside of your control. But again, I love the way that kind of line plays out just in terms of the sound of the words, be it will or the wheel alignment. Look, again, I'm going to be honest, like by the end of this track, where despite him rapping and performing, like I just feel every line, I feel every word. It just reads like a speech. It feels like a speech. He's making a speech. He's up on the fucking mound making a speech on this fucking track, and like the conclusion, the very dark conclusion that it reaches with his death and so on and so forth, and kind of the way he transcends in a positive way beyond that. And still after all of it, him saying, "I want you," and then it kind of cuts off there. I mean, that fucked me up. It really fucked me the fuck up. At the end of the day, despite Kendrick's best efforts to, say things of substance in his music, he is still a man. He's not the Messiah or anything like that. He's not a perfect person. He's not completely without flaws, and his reasoning isn't always perfect. But what always resonates with me through his art and through his work is really and truly the effort, because, I don't think anybody is approaching tracks like he is in the mainstream when it comes to the amount of heart and the amount of passion that he just bleeds with all over everything. I love this track. I think this is just an incredible, first kind of entry musically into this album cycle. And again, I think the best installment that he's done in this The Heart series so far. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm impressed with this. This is amazing. I hope that people who have been listening to him, really listening to him, and the way that he's kind of progressed in terms of how he sees himself and sees his art in the world, kind of understand and get how big of a deal it is for him to sort of like start seeing things this way, because he struggled to get to this point. He has struggled to get to this point. Damn was literally like that struggle. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours down in the comments. You're the best. Love ya. Over here next to my head is another video that you could check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Kendrick Lamar, forever.